Do not mistake this message for motivation. It is a command. If you finish listening to this speech and obey what you hear, you will no longer wake up behind life. You will no longer chase the world. You will rise before it stirs, and the world will bend to your rhythm. Let me tell you the truth. No man has ever become powerful by waking up last. No fortune was built after sunrise. No empire was planned at noon. The men who rule the earth, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Ford, Edison, Lincoln, they began in silence, in darkness, in solitude, while other men still slept in doubt and drift. The hour you choose to wake determines the type of man you become. If you wait until life forces you to move, you will never lead. But if you rise before the world calls your name and command your thoughts, declare your aim, discipline your flesh, and act with decision, then all of life shall obey you. Listen to me and do not forget this law. If you do not rise with purpose, you will fall with the masses. If you do not speak your aim before dawn, you will serve the man who did. And I promise you, if you finish this entire speech and repeat it each morning until its law becomes your identity, you will never sleep the same again. You will rise early with certainty, speak your desire with fire, act with silence and strength, and by the time others are waking, you will already be building what they will one day admire. Now listen, and do not drift, for what I am about to give you is the morning blueprint of the leaders, and it begins long before the sun does. Introduction, the hour that decides your life. Before the sun stretches across the sky, the leaders have already claimed the day. They rise not to check the world, but to create it. They enter battle not against foes, but against self. And while the masses still lay in the softness of indecision, the few have already sharpened their thoughts, commanded their intentions, and ignited their spirit for conquest. Every man who has ever built a fortune, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, Lincoln, began his day long before the world requested his service. He did not wait for the sun to stir his ambition. He rose by a law that few know and fewer still obey, that the hour before dawn is the hour where destinies are forged. If you wake up late, the day controls you. You are at the mercy of urgency, of noise, of needs that are not your own. But when you rise early with definiteness, you seize the only time the world cannot touch, the silent hour of self-mastery. I speak now to the man who is tired of chasing, to the man who senses there is more, to the man who feels his potential burning beneath layers of distraction and delay. This message is not gentle. It is not comfortable. It is a morning fire, designed to break the chains of habit and light the way to greatness. You are not meant to drift through days half asleep. You are meant to stand up, claim your hours, and shape your outcome. And this begins where few dare to begin, before the sun rises. This hour is your greatest ally. It is empty of noise, full of clarity, rich with power. It is the only time that belongs fully to you. And what you do with it reveals who you are becoming. Do not tell me you seek riches if you cannot command a single hour of silence. Do not declare purpose if you surrender the most sacred time of the day to sloth. The man who refuses to rule his morning will be ruled by the world every day of his life. But there is another path, and I shall now instruct you how to walk it. I shall show you how to build the morning of a powerful life, just as I have taught it to those who moved empires, forged fortunes, and carved their names into history. Say this aloud before we continue. I rise to command. I rise to decide. I rise to build the man I demand to become. Speak it again, not with voice alone, but with decision. I rise to command. I rise to decide. I rise to build the man I demand to become. This speech is your foundation, not of theory, but of structure, principle, and ritual. If you follow what is written here and make it your law, you will win before the world wakes. Let us now begin with the first principle of morning power. Part 1. The morning is a mirror of the mind. You are what you repeatedly do before the world has touched you. A man's identity is not built at noon. It is built in the first sacred hour of his day. The morning reveals the truth of his priorities, his purpose, his power. It is the mirror where the mind sees itself before putting on disguise. The silent hour before dawn is not just peaceful, it is strategic. It is the only hour the world cannot interrupt, and that is why it is feared by the lazy and loved by the leaders. It is the hour when the mind is untouched by distraction, when thoughts are still forming, and suggestion is strongest. This hour is where you train the architect of your destiny. Most men waste this gift. They reach for the world instead of themselves. They allow the voices of others to enter before they've spoken to their own mind. And because of this, their life is nothing more than reaction, not creation. Those who wake late drift. They chase after what has already begun. They step into a rhythm not of their own making. But those who rise with purpose command. They lead the hour, and therefore they lead the day. And a day led with power becomes a life carved by decision. Thomas Edison rose early and worked in silence long before the factories hummed. Henry Ford sat with pen and paper before a single wheel turned. Abraham Lincoln, though raised in hardship, wrote and read by candlelight before the rooster crowed. These men did not rise early because it was convenient. They rose early because they were called by their mission. The morning is the training ground of the mind. It is the place where faith is built, not by chance, but by repetition. What you do each morning, you become. What you say each morning, your subconscious accepts. What you think each morning, your entire nervous system begins to follow. The man who builds faith does not do so by waiting for belief to arrive. He does it by repeating what must become real until the mind has no choice but to obey. He speaks his aim aloud. He affirms his character aloud. He rehearses his mission before the sun rises. If your first action is laziness, your entire day becomes heavy. If your first words are reactive, your thoughts drift. But if your first act is discipline, your mind submits. If your first word is power, your emotions will follow. The morning is not for comfort, it is for command. If you use it to snooze, to delay, to hide, then the rest of your day will follow suit. But if you use it to declare, decide, and direct, then all things that follow will fall into place. The man who speaks with purpose before dawn has already won, even before stepping into the noise of the world. Why? Because he is not led by what appears, he is led by what he has already declared. You must now build a ritual, not a routine, but a ritual of meaning. Rise early, sit in stillness, speak your aim, visualize your future, write what must become, read words that command faith, stand tall, begin with boldness. Every step must whisper to your subconscious, I lead. I building. I rise before the world because I am made to rule within it. This will feel foreign at first. That is only because you have allowed softness to rule. But as the days pass and your voice becomes clearer and your aim feels nearer, you will discover something extraordinary. Your mind was always waiting for you to command it. The difference between drifting and domination is found in 1 hour. This is not exaggeration. It is law. The man who wakes early and uses that hour to plant purpose will find wealth, strength, and clarity becoming his new normal. Repeat this aloud with conviction. I am the architect of the morning. I rise early because my destiny demands it. Again, I am the architect of the morning. I rise early because my destiny demands it. Say it every day. Say it until you believe it. Say it until your body obeys it. Because when your first words each morning are those of power, there will be no room left in your day for excuses. Now shall I continue with part 2. Thought is the master key. Why the wealthy ones use mornings to think. There is no fortune without thought. There is no empire without clear vision. And there is no clarity without silence. The morning exists for thinking, not wandering thought, not reactionary thought, but deliberate, purposeful, wealth-creating thought. The subconscious mind, upon waking, is wide open. It has not yet been disturbed by the needs, demands, and noise of the day. What you speak in this hour goes deep. It reaches the bedrock of belief. It becomes instruction, not suggestion, to your inner world. This is why the 1% rise early, to train thought before the world invades it. The man who waits until the afternoon to think has already been shaped by other men's agendas. But the man who begins the day with quiet command enters life not as a servant to circumstance, but as master of direction. You must understand this principle. The early hour is not for consumption. It is for creation. You are not meant to reach for the voices of others. You are meant to write your own. You are meant to repeat your definite chief aim aloud, not casually, but with emotion, until the mind begins to build it in the unseen. Most men are mentally lazy. They do not think, they react, they consume, they drift, and they wonder why life does not bend for them. The cure is found in the first hour of the day. Train the mind to obey thought. Begin each day by planting the thought you choose to dominate. Let nothing else in until that idea has settled into your spirit. Choose your thoughts like a builder selects stone, with vision, with care, with intent. Your definite chief aim must not live in a drawer. It must live on your lips. Speak it each morning. Stand before it. Read it aloud. Visualize it as if already done. And let that vision become obsession. For what you obsess over in thought, you will pursue in action. Silence is not for idleness. It is for instruction. In the quiet of dawn, give orders to yourself. Say, "This is what I will do. This is who I am becoming. This is the result I demand. This is how I will walk, speak, and act today." Then act as if those words are already truth, for to the subconscious they already are. Carnegie understood this law. He began each day not in chaos, but in command. He sat in quiet. He reviewed his purpose. He directed his focus. And from that place of order, he built what others considered impossible. And you must do the same. Do not enter the world until you have entered yourself. Do not speak to others until you have spoken belief to your own mind. And do not permit a single thought of doubt to rise before your vision has been declared. The morning is not the time for reaction. It is the time for rulership. It is when the rich in thought prepare to become rich in result. And what you prepare in that hour will either guide your day with power or surrender it to the drifting. Now repeat after me, not softly, but with full force. I choose my thoughts. I shape my world. I speak power into the day before it begins. Again, stronger. I choose my thoughts. I shape my world. I speak power into the day before it begins. Make this your habit. Make it your law. And in time, you will no longer have to force belief. It will live in you. Part 3. Discipline begins before sunrise. Discipline is not a trait. It is not a gift given to the fortunate. It is a law that must be obeyed. And that law begins before the sun does. No man is born disciplined. Every disciplined man was built in darkness. When others still lay in beds of softness, eyes shut, breath slow, mind wandering, the man of greatness is already awake, already thinking, already deciding who he will be today, and not just deciding in words, but declaring in action. You will never master your day if you do not first master yourself, and you will never master yourself unless you do it when no one is watching. This is the secret of the few. They do not train for applause. They do not move for approval. They rise because their future demands it. What most call discipline is nothing more than self-trust. The man who rises when he says he will, who speaks what he says he believes, who acts in alignment with what he claims to desire, this man begins to trust himself, and that trust becomes confidence. But the man who lies to himself each morning by breaking his own word, who says, "Tomorrow I will rise," and does not, who delays, avoids, or hides behind comfort, this man trains himself to doubt. He weakens his voice. He betrays his aim. And he wonders why wealth flees from him. The morning is not just an hour. It is a test of character, a test of will, a test of alignment. And each morning you fail it. The world knows before you even speak. For your energy does not lie. Andrew Carnegie, the man to whom I owe my entire instruction, knew this deeply. He did not rise to please the clock. He rose to direct the day. He demanded from himself punctuality of thought, clarity of aim, and precision in ritual. He began with a cold wash, a composed mind, and a written plan. And from those first minutes of obedience, his entire empire found its roots. If you claim to seek success and cannot master your rising hour, you lie. For discipline is forged in the hour of resistance, when the body says no, but the mind says yes. When comfort begs you to delay, but your purpose says, I rise. Every morning when your feet hit the floor, you face the same question, will I lead today or follow? And the answer is not spoken. It is acted. It is seen in whether you reach for silence or for distraction. It is seen in whether you begin with intention or with indulgence. A disciplined man does not need to feel like doing the thing. He does it because he said he would. His word is iron. His promise is a hammer. And his identity is built on the repetition of self-command. If your morning begins with a broken promise, your day is already off balance. But when your day begins with self-conquest, you cannot be stopped. The man who conquers himself before the sun even rises can conquer anything. Begin with a cold wash, not for the body, but for the mind. Begin with a strong stance, spine straight, chest open, not for appearance, but for identity. Speak your oath aloud, not for the air, but for the subconscious. Every act you take before the world watches becomes the proof your soul uses to believe. Discipline is not about punishment, it is about alignment. When you rise and act in accordance with who you claim to be, you become that man. And when you repeat it daily, the world must eventually reflect it. You may say, I am not a morning person. And I say, you are not a disciplined person. For the mind that rules time does not beg to be comfortable. It demands to be powerful. I do not ask that you change everything. I demand that you change one thing, your first hour. Rise earlier. Begin with silence. Breathe deeply. Speak your aim. Feel your strength. Move your body. Speak your belief. Act before emotion argues, and repeat it the next day, and the next. And on the 10th day, you will notice your eyes open with greater ease. On the 20th, your mind will feel clearer. And by the 30th, you will no longer ask, should I rise, you will have become a man who does not need to ask. The disciplined man no longer struggles to obey his morning ritual. He becomes the ritual. It is his identity. It is not an act of will. It is the law of who he is. Say this now with full voice, not for me, but for yourself. I will do what must be done, not when I feel like it, but because I said I would. Repeat, I will do what must be done, not when I feel like it, but because I said I would. Let this affirmation be etched into the marrow of your morning, and when your will is weak, let your repetition be strong, because that is how you win, not with emotion, but with obedience to principle. Part 4, the law of cosmic habit force. Rituals make or break you. You may believe that change is slow, that it comes with age, with luck, or with time. But I tell you this, change is instant the moment you decide, and it becomes permanent the moment you repeat. That is not hope. That is the law of cosmic habit force. This law is not folklore. It is the unseen machinery behind every outcome. It does not care who you are, where you were born, or how you feel. It responds only to one thing, repetition. And what you repeat in silence, in solitude, in the sacred hour of morning, becomes your character, your destiny, your results. You do not choose your future directly. You choose your rituals. And your rituals determine everything, and every man is ruled by habit. The only question is, did he build the habit, or did the habit build him? If you do not install your own patterns, the world will install them for you. The lazy man does not rise early because the habit of drifting owns him. The great man does not question the hour he rises because the habit of conquest owns him. Edison understood this law. Every morning he followed a precise chain of behavior. He did not vary it. He did not skip it. He began with solitude, with paper, with vision. He knew that brilliance was not born from chaos. It was born from discipline made automatic. If you build a morning ritual and hold to it without fail, day after day, the law begins to shape your identity. At first it requires effort, but soon you no longer think about it. The habit acts through you. And when that habit is tied to purpose, you become unstoppable. Most men are victims of their own repeated actions. They brush their teeth in hesitation. They scroll before they think. They react before they command. These tiny rituals, repeated, shape the mind into weakness, and weakness becomes their character. But you, if you rise with intention, if you repeat strength, clarity, and power each morning, you begin to reshape your inner chemistry. Your thoughts align. Your body obeys. Your words follow purpose. You become consistent, focused, sharp, and then, and only then, life begins to reflect your new pattern. Opportunities begin to find you. People begin to listen. Circumstances align, not because of luck, but because you have become the type of man who makes alignment unavoidable. Let us now build your morning ritual, simple, clear, immutable. Wake before the world. This may mean 4 a.m., 5 a.m., or earlier, but it must be before the demands of the world begin. Silence. Sit alone. Breathe deeply. Train your attention. Listen to the sound of your heartbeat, the rhythm of your breath. Speak your definite chief aim aloud, with emotion, with certainty, with full belief, even if the belief feels new. Write. Journal your goals, your gratitude, and your victories. Every stroke of the pen affirms your new identity. Move the body. Walk, stretch, breathe with force. You are a being of action, not stagnation. Review your plan. Know what must be done. Decide now that it will be done. Affirm with fire. Speak your identity aloud. Say, I am powerful. I am focused. I am relentless. I rise with mission. These steps are not optional. They are not inspirational. They are non-negotiable laws of the wealthy. The man who follows them becomes strong, stable, and sure. The man who skips them becomes fragile, delayed, and vague. You must treat this ritual not as a task, but as a sacred contract. You have made a vow with your future self. You will not break it. And each time you keep that vow, the law of cosmic habit force engraves a deeper groove into your mind. There will be days when you feel tired. Rise anyway. Days when you feel uncertain. Speak your aim anyway. Days when you feel resistance. Push anyway. Why? Because emotion is temporary, but identity is permanent. And you are building identity with every repetition. Say this now and mean it. I repeat greatness until it becomes my nature. Again, I repeat greatness until it becomes my nature. That is not a statement. It is an instruction to your subconscious. It is a blueprint for your destiny. And if you obey it, if you obey this law, the world cannot stop you. Part 5. The morning demand. Speak your aim. Demand your life. Every morning is not just a time, it is a courtroom. You stand before the tribunal of life, and you either speak your purpose aloud with conviction, or you remain silent and let the day pass judgment on you. No man gains wealth without first demanding it. This is the law. You will not receive what you are unwilling to declare. The universe, the subconscious, the forces that govern thought into form, they respond to clear instruction backed by belief. And if you speak with weakness, or if you fail to speak at all, life assumes you have nothing worth receiving. Your morning declaration is not an exercise in hope. It is a command issued to all of existence. You must rise with power in your voice. You must say what you intend to possess. You must speak it not as wish, not as want, but as reality. Say, I will possess this outcome, I will give this service, I will become this man. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. Why daily? Because the mind forgets. It drifts. It weakens under the repetition of worldly noise. And the only way to break through that noise is to install your purpose louder, stronger, and more emotionally than anything else can. If your desire is not spoken, it is not planted. If it is not planted, it cannot grow. If it cannot grow, your future dies in silence. You must speak your aim aloud every single morning, not softly, but with the tone of a general preparing for battle. See it, feel it, write it, speak it, repeat it. Let it become obsession. Carnegie once said to me, only the man who becomes obsessed with a vision is worthy of the riches it commands. He knew that wealth is not given to the casual, nor the inconsistent. It is given to the man who has made up his mind and trained his emotions to support that decision. How does one do this? With words, with repetition, with fire. Faith does not arrive by accident. It is manufactured through evidence. And your evidence begins with what you speak each day. The subconscious does not know the difference between truth and falsehood. It knows only what is repeated with emotion. Therefore, make your truth known. Stand before the mirror, the wall, the sky if you must, and speak with certainty. I demand riches of life with purpose, service, and unwavering belief. Say it again, but this time imagine that 10,000 eyes are upon you, and every word is shaping the direction of your life. I demand riches of life with purpose, service, and unwavering belief. You must train your nervous system to believe this as fact. You must repeat it so often, with such intensity, that the mind no longer doubts it. It begins to expect it. And when expectation is set, action becomes natural. Charles Schwab, who rose from steelworker to president of one of the greatest industrial enterprises, began each day by speaking with intensity. His aim was never vague. His voice was never passive. He declared what he would do, and then he did it. And the world, impressed by such sureness, responded in kind. Weak men whisper, powerful men declare. And the difference is not tone, it is belief. You may say, but I'm not sure I believe yet. Then I tell you, speak louder, speak more often. Speak until belief comes. Speak until doubt has no room left to live. This is not deception, it is instruction. You are teaching your subconscious who you are becoming. And the more you repeat the lesson, the faster it learns. Let us make this practical. Write your definite chief aim in the present tense. I am earning this amount. I am delivering this value. I am becoming this man. Read it aloud every morning with emotion, not like a school book, like a victory speech. Visualize it as you read. See the result. Feel the possession. Say your core affirmation immediately after. Let it ring like a bell in your soul. When done correctly, this ritual does not just motivate, it reprograms. It aligns the emotions, the body, the decisions, the day. And after 30 days of this repetition, your identity begins to match your aim. After 60 days, others begin to notice. After 90 days, results become visible. Not because luck has found you, but because your words have reshaped your destiny. Say it with me now. I demand riches of life with purpose, service, and unwavering belief. One more time, louder, with decision. I demand riches of life with purpose, service, and unwavering belief. Let this not be a line in a book. Let it be the law of your mornings. For if you master the morning demand, the rest of life will have no choice but to follow. Part 6. Indecision. Dies with the sunrise. There is no success without decision, and there is no power in the man who waits until noon to make it. The rising hour is not for drifting. It is for cutting through doubt like a sword. Each sunrise must be a signal to slay hesitation and choose your course with unshakable firmness. Indecision is a spiritual disease. It weakens thought. It confuses the subconscious. It teaches your own mind that you cannot be trusted. And each time you delay a decision, you deepen this wound until your soul becomes paralyzed by options and your life a reflection of hesitation. But in the morning, the mind is still pure. The noise of the world has not yet infected it. This is when decision is sharpest. This is when you must decide, not just how the day will go, but who you shall be. The world follows the man who leads, and the man who leads is the one who decides early, clearly, and without apology. Do not mistake this for recklessness. I do not say decide foolishly. I say decide deliberately, but without delay. Once the truth is known, the man of destiny moves. He does not consult the weak part of himself. He does not check the weather of opinion. He acts. Abraham Lincoln was not born decisive. He forged that trait. He made decisions long before others believed in him. He knew that a leader must speak with clarity when others are still counting risks. He decided to free men when it was unpopular. He decided to rise from obscurity when he had no map. And because of that decisiveness, he carved his place in the minds of generations. I say to you now, begin each day by deciding one thing boldly, not 10 things. 1. Choose one bold act before the sun has risen. Decide what must be done. Decide what fear will be faced. Decide what conversation, what creation, what conquest must begin today, and then vow to execute it before noon. This act of early decision becomes a signal to your subconscious that you are in command, that you are not the man who floats. You are the man who chooses, acts, and completes. The longer you wait to decide, the more your mind becomes clouded. Thought decays when left unacted upon. Desire weakens when not supported by decision. And faith dies when it is not followed by motion. Indecision is the ghost that haunts the hallways of poverty. It is the silent killer of dreams. It is what the devil uses to stall, distract, and dismantle the future of the strong. The man who hesitates gives the devil time to build doubt. But the man who rises and decides gives the devil no entry point. He slams the door with a single act. This is what I am doing. This is who I am. This is where I go. This is why it shall be done. You may say, but what if I choose wrong? Then choose, and correct as you go. Action reveals more truth than speculation ever will, and indecision guarantees stagnation, while movement guarantees momentum. Faith without decision is a dead thing. It has no hands, no feet, no voice. But once decision is made, faith becomes a builder. It lays brick, it moves earth, it demands obedience from circumstance. Make this your rule. Each morning I decide before the world decides for me. Write it, post it on your mirror, speak it as your eyes open. Let it become your identity. And repeat this aloud now, not with caution, but with certainty. I decide with power. I act without hesitation. I shape my fate with early decisions. Again, let it ring. I decide with power. I act without hesitation. I shape my fate with early decisions. This is the law, not a suggestion, not a philosophy, but a spiritual law, one that every successful man has obeyed in silence while others slept in confusion. And now you know it. Now you see it. Now you must be it. Part 7. You must become a master before others witness you. The man who desires wealth without first mastering himself is a beggar in disguise. No amount of ambition will compensate for a lack of personal rulership. And rulership begins not in the marketplace, not in public, not on the stage, but in silence before the world awakens in the hidden arena of the self. Mastery is built in private. It is formed in the unseen rituals of dawn, long before the light touches your skin. It is here, in this sacred solitude, that you shape the voice the world will one day obey. If you wait for others to see you before you discipline yourself, you are already lost. The man who requires witnesses to become excellent will never be great. Before you speak with power, you must think with clarity. Before you command others, you must command your emotions. Before you earn riches, you must become a vessel that can carry wealth without leaking it. And this requires mastery, daily, deliberate, demanding mastery. Who are you in silence? That is the question that decides your future, because who you are when no one is looking, that is who you really are. And the world has no choice but to reflect that truth, whether you wish it to or not. The early hours are sacred for this reason. In the morning, you are unguarded. Your true thoughts rise. Your true motives reveal themselves. If you avoid the silence, it is because you are hiding from your own mind. But if you seek it, embrace it, own it, then you are on the path to absolute internal control. Rockefeller did not build Standard Oil in public. He built it in his mind, in his journals, in his morning silence. He examined himself. He planned with accuracy. He trained his nervous system to remain calm, focused, and resolute before the first dollar ever moved. What does it mean to master oneself? It means to sit in silence and not flinch. It means to face your flaws without excuse. It means to command your mood, your voice, your breath, your thoughts, until they obey the vision you have decided upon. This is not romantic. It is brutal. It is difficult. But it is the only way. Because if you do not train your mind in the stillness of morning, the noise of the day will train it for you, and the world will make you small, scared, reactive, and weak. But you are not meant for weakness. You are meant for will, and will is formed by repetition in the quiet hours. Train yourself when no one is watching. Speak your aim aloud when no one hears. Practice strength when no one needs it. Read when no one requires it. Write when no one pays you. Move when there is no applause. This is how you become the man the world cannot ignore. The disciplined man is not waiting for opportunity. He is preparing for it. And when it arrives, he steps into it like a king returning to his throne. There is no hesitation because he has already rehearsed the moment 10,000 times in solitude. You must become the kind of man who no longer waits for motivation. You must become the man who is the source of his own motion. And that can only happen if you master the early hour. You must become sharp, still, and certain before the world gets a chance to influence you. This is not about perfection. It is about identity. The man who practices mastery each morning is no longer dependent on the day going his way. He dictates the way it shall go. He no longer reacts. He initiates. He no longer apologizes. He moves with purpose. Say this now with full authority, not as a hope, but as a decision. Before the world sees me, I have already conquered myself. Repeat it again, stronger, slower. Before the world sees me, I have already conquered myself. Write it on your mirror. Burn it into your mind. Speak it until it becomes you. Because the man who obeys this truth no longer waits to be seen. He commands attention by his presence alone. Your greatness will not begin when others believe in you. It will begin when you begin to believe without needing their approval. And that belief must be forged before the sun rises, when the world is quiet and only the voice of your purpose remains. Do not betray your mornings. Do not delay your practice. Do not hide from your own potential. Train now and train alone. And soon the world will reflect the fire you have built in silence. Part 8. The day belongs to the one who claims it first. The man who rises first, thinks first, speaks first, and decides first owns the day, not by accident, not by fortune, but by law. And that law is simple. Life obeys the one who gives it instruction before the world does. Most men rise only when forced. They begin their day in debt, to time, to thought, to others' plans. But the rare man, the powerful man, rises to collect his wealth while others sleep on their dreams. To rise early is not to wake for waking's sake. It is to claim dominion over the hours ahead, to walk in silence while others seek comfort, to take the throne of your mind before anyone else has touched it. This is what the 1% do, daily. When the day begins, it is neutral. It belongs to no one. It does not care about your goals, your struggles, or your hopes. But the man who rises with certainty, who gives it purpose, who trains it with belief, this man takes the day by the throat and bends it. Time compounds. The man who rises early earns not just hours. He earns years. He lives more, learns more, creates more, and becomes more. Every day he commands the morning is a step toward immortality in results. While others complain of not having time, he makes time kneel. The morning ritual is not a motivational act. It is an act of war against doubt, against delay, against the voice of weakness that says maybe tomorrow. The man who rises with fire every morning burns that voice to ash. And if you fall once, rise again the next day. If you slip, return to the silence. If you drift, repeat. Because this is the great key most men never understand. Repetition is not boring. It is divine. You do not need new information. You need reinforcement of power. You need daily immersion in greatness. You need your chief aim spoken so often that the cells of your body begin to behave differently. And that can only be achieved through repetition. The early hour is not for experimenting. It is for repetition of truth. Speak your aim. Feel your identity. Act as the man you are becoming. Repeat it again and again until you become immune to anything less. Say this aloud with me. Make it your oath. Each morning I conquer time, I rise before the world and I win. Once more with unshakable fire. Each morning I conquer time, I rise before the world and I win. You now hold the truth. You now know the principles. But do not let them fade. Come back to this speech tomorrow, then again the next day, until the words are burned into your mind like scripture. And if you forget them, return. If you feel yourself slipping, return. If the world begins to steal your fire, return. The repetition will rebuild you every time. This is not merely a speech. This is your morning doctrine. These principles are not ideas. They are instructions. And if followed daily, repeatedly, obsessively, they will make you a new man. Let this be your final vow before we close. I am not a man of hesitation. I am a man of early power. I do not wait to be told. I speak, I act, I command. I begin each day before the world. I repeat greatness until it obeys. Now rise and begin again, tomorrow and every day after. The world belongs to the one who claims it first.